Why would I marry him when I can have someone better and still keep him as a placeholder? My fiancé sneered. So I left, took everything I paid for, removed my name from the lease, and moved to my secret house. Then I watched her spiral for weeks. Sup, Reddit. So this happened about a year ago, but I'm finally ready to share it. My fiancé called me a pathetic placeholder at our own engagement party. She bragged about using me while waiting for her side piece's trust fund to kick in. I overheard everything, left silently, stripped our apartment of everything I'd bought, moved to a house I'd secretly purchased as a wedding surprise, and nuked the website I'd built for her business. But that's not everything. Here's what happened. I, 31 male, met Riley, 28 female, at some networking event my buddy dragged me to. You know the type. Overpriced drinks, people pretending their side hustle is the next big thing, and enough networking energy to power a small city. I wasn't thrilled to be there, but I can work a room when I need to. I was having a conversation with some guys when this absolute knockout walked over. Riley, 5'6", perfect smile. The kind of confidence that made everyone else fade into the background. She joined our conversation, actually knew what she was talking about regarding market trends. Smart, funny, ambitious, everything I'd been looking for but never thought I'd find. What got me wasn't just how beautiful she was. It was how she carried herself. This girl had her shit together. Marketing degree, clear goals, talked about wanting to build her own agency someday. We started dating, and everything just clicked. She was driven. I was stable. She had big dreams. I had the resources to help make them happen. We balanced each other perfectly. Her ambition pushed me to think bigger. My pragmatism kept her grounded. Real partnership shit. The first year was incredible. Riley was building her career. I was crushing it at work. And together we were this power couple everyone wanted to be around. She'd come to my work events and charm everyone. I'd support her at her networking functions. We were a team. When she said she wanted to leave retail and really build something meaningful in marketing, I didn't hesitate to step up. Covered the bills while she transitioned, built her a professional website that looked like it cost 10 grand, helped her develop her business plan. Because that's what you do when you believe in someone. You invest in their success. And it was working. She was landing small clients, building her portfolio, actually making progress toward her agency dream. I was proud as hell watching her build something from nothing. Looking back, there were 2 moments where I should have paid closer attention, but they seemed so minor at the time. The first was at her friend Madison's birthday dinner about 18 months in. We're all sitting around this fancy restaurant table, and the conversation turns to relationships. Madison starts talking about her new boyfriend, some personal trainer with a decent Instagram following. Madison's friend jumps in with, "Oh, he's so much more interesting than that accountant you used to date." Then Riley's friend Ella looks at me and says, "Sam, you're so lucky Riley likes the stable type. Most girls our age want someone more dynamic." The table got quiet for a second. I raised an eyebrow and said, "Dynamic's overrated. Stable pays the bills." Got a few laughs, moved on. But the way Riley looked at me when I said that, for just a split second, there was something like disgust in her eyes. Like I'd just confirmed exactly what she thought about me. She covered it fast with a smile and a little laugh, but I caught it. Later that night, I asked Riley about it. "Your friends seem to think I'm boring as shit." She laughed and curled up against me. "Baby, they don't mean it like that. They're just used to dating these flashy guys who are all surface. They don't understand what real stability looks like." It made sense. Her friends were still in that phase where they confused drama for passion. Riley was more mature than that. The second thing happened around year 2. Some crypto bro named Theo started showing up in her Instagram stories. Nothing crazy. Group shots from networking events, team photos from work functions. But this dude was obviously trying to get her attention, commenting on everything she posted, always finding excuses to be in her orbit. What really bothered me wasn't just that he was sniffing around. Guys always do that with attractive women. It was how Riley talked about him. Theo thinks this. Theo says that. Theo has connections with. The guy's name came up way too often for someone who was supposedly just a networking contact. I started paying attention to her phone habits. She'd get texts during dinner and immediately check them, smiling at the screen. When I'd ask who it was, she'd say just work stuff or networking contacts. But she was too defensive, too quick to flip the phone face down. One night she's texting during dinner, giggling at her phone. I glanced over and saw Theo's name. "Who's the crypto kid?" I asked. "Oh, Theo? He's just this guy from the marketing scene. Super connected, knows everyone. He's been helping me network with some bigger clients." "Helping you network." "Right." I kept my tone casual, but I'm not an idiot. Guy seems pretty interested in more than your professional development. Riley set down her phone and looked at me with those big eyes. Sam, come on. Don't be insecure about this. You know you're the only man I want. Theo's just business. I need these connections if I'm going to grow my agency. She reached across the table and took my hand. Besides, you think I'd trade you for some 28-year-old who still lives off his trust fund? Please. I need a real man, not a boy playing entrepreneur with daddy's money. I ate it up too. Riley was building something real. Of course she needed to network with everyone, even if some of them had ulterior motives. The fact that she was being transparent about it showed she had nothing to hide. So I trusted her. Because that's what you do when you're with someone who's proven they're worth trusting. Fast forward. I'm ring shopping, planning the perfect proposal, thinking about our future like the smart investor I am. Spent 3 months hunting for the perfect ring, even bought a house. Yeah, a whole house. As a surprise for after we got married. Figured we'd do the proposal, plan the wedding, then I'd surprise her with the keys on our wedding night. The ultimate power move. The house hunting process was incredible. Finally making decisions based on what I actually wanted instead of compromising on everything. 3 bedrooms, home office, big garage for my tools, man cave in the basement. I was picturing our future. Barbecues in the backyard, hosting game nights, maybe kids running around someday, building something real together. I was building us an empire. The proposal went perfectly. Took her to the same restaurant where we had our first date, got down on one knee during dessert. The whole place applauded. She cried, said yes, and posted 17 Instagram stories about it within an hour. For about 30 seconds, I actually believed we were going to make it. For the engagement, Riley wanted something intimate but Instagram-worthy. Her parents offered their backyard. A nice place, big enough for about 50 people, good lighting for photos. I covered catering, bar service, decorations, and photography. Even rented those fancy string lights and had a whole setup installed. Dropped $3,000 on what was supposed to be our celebration. My best friend Adam was there, playing wingman like always. The guy's got a sixth sense for bullshit and had been side-eyeing this whole engagement from day one. Something feels off about this, he'd told me while we were setting up chairs earlier that day. She's treating this more like a networking event than a party about loving you. I brushed him off. Riley was just excited, wanted everything perfect. Nothing wrong with that. Adam had been trying to warn me for months. Dude, when's the last time she asked about your day without immediately turning it into something about her career? Or, have you noticed she only gets affectionate when she needs something? I kept defending her. Should have listened to my guy. The party itself was pure Riley. She spent the entire time working the room and posing for photos. About an hour in, I needed air. All the congratulations and fake small talk were wearing thin. I told Adam I was grabbing another drink and headed toward the kitchen. But as I walked past the side gate that led to the front yard, I heard voices coming from around the corner of the house. Riley's voice, crystal clear. Something in her tone got my attention. I stopped behind the hedge that separated the side yard from the front, hidden but close enough to hear every word. She was talking to her girls' group, Madison, another friend named Lexi, and some girl I didn't recognize. All of them holding glasses, all of them talking like they were discussing the weather. I mean, honestly, Riley was saying, Sam is pathetic. He pays for everything, never questions anything I do, and actually thinks I'm going to marry him. It's almost sad. My blood turned to ice water. Lexi laughed. Girl, you are ruthless. When are you planning to dump his ass? Soon. Theo's trust fund kicks in full when he turns 30 next year, and he's finally ready to get serious. Sam's been the perfect little ATM while I figured out my real options. But it's time to trade up to someone who's actually worth my time. Madison chimed in, What about this whole engagement charade? Riley's laugh was the sound of my entire future shattering. Please. Like I'd actually marry that boring loser. He's like a human safety net. Useful when you need security, but you don't build a life around someone that pathetic. The ring's pretty, though. I'll probably keep it when I dump him. The new girl. Holy shit, Riley. That's ice cold. Does he have any idea? Are you kidding? He's completely clueless. Thinks this is all real. Thinks I actually love him. It's honestly embarrassing how naive he is. I picked the most gullible, desperate guy I could find, and he's been funding my lifestyle ever since. Best decision I ever made. I stood there, hidden behind a hedge at my own engagement party, listening to my fiancée explain to her friends how I was just a human ATM she'd been using while she shopped for an upgrade. 3 years. 3 years of my life. The ring that cost me 4 months' salary. The house I'd been so excited to surprise her with. All of it built on the foundation of me being too stupid to realize I was a walking wallet. I didn't make a scene, didn't storm over there and confront her, didn't throw my drink or cause a dramatic meltdown. I just turned around and walked straight through the house, past all the guests, and out the front door. Adam caught up with me halfway down the street. Dude, where are you going? You look like you've seen a ghost. I kept walking. It's over. What's over? The party? Everything. Adam didn't ask questions. Just fell into step beside me and followed me to my car. That's why he's my best friend. He knows when to shut up and just be there. I drove straight to Adam's place with him following behind in his car. The second we got inside, my phone started buzzing. Riley, probably just realizing her cash cow had wandered off from his own engagement party. You want to tell me what just happened? Adam asked, grabbing 2 drinks from his fridge. I told him everything. Every word I'd overheard. When I finished, he was quiet for about 10 seconds then. Well, her loss, bro. What's the plan? My phone was going insane. Riley calling, her parents calling, her friends calling. 12 missed calls in 20 minutes. I put it on airplane mode. First, I'm staying here tonight. Second, tomorrow I'm getting my name off everything. Third, I'm taking all my shit. Adam grinned. Now we're talking. I've got the truck and nothing but time tomorrow. Let's burn this bridge. We spent the night making a battle plan. Adam's got this vindictive streak that makes him perfect for situations like this. By morning, we had a checklist that would make a divorce lawyer proud. Adam pulled out a legal pad, and we mapped out every single thing with my name on it. Bank accounts, credit cards, insurance policies, gym memberships, Netflix passwords, everything. If she wants independence so bad, Adam said, let's give her the full experience. First stop, the apartment management office. Told them I was ending the relationship and needed my name removed from the lease immediately. Explained that my ex could stay if she wanted, but she'd be covering the full $2,800 rent by herself. The manager was surprisingly cool about it, probably seen this before. Next, utilities. Called electric, gas, internet, cable, everything that was in my name. Gave them all a disconnect date of today. Riley could call and set up her own accounts if she wanted to keep the lights on. The cable company tried to transfer the account to her name, but she'd have to call and authorize it herself, plus pay a new connection fee and security deposit. The internet required a credit check she'd probably fail since she had basically no income. I was removing every convenience she'd taken for granted. By noon, we were pulling up to the apartment complex with Adam's truck and a shit ton of moving boxes. Riley's car was in the parking lot, which meant this was about to get interesting. I used my key like nothing had changed, opened the door, and found Riley pacing around the living room like a caged animal. Her hair was a mess. She was still wearing yesterday's dress, and she had that wild look people get when their world starts crashing down. Sam! Oh my God, where were you? I've been calling all night. Your phone's going straight to voicemail. My parents are freaking out. I know. She stopped pacing. You know? What do you mean you know? I heard everything last night. Behind the hedge. You, Lexi, Madison. The whole conversation. Her face went white, then red. Then she tried to play it off. Sam, you don't understand. I was drunk. I was just telling the truth. For once. Adam walked in behind me carrying a stack of boxes. Riley looked at him like he was some kind of invader. What is he doing here? Helping me move, I said, and started packing my stuff. That's when the meltdown really started. Move? Move where? What are you talking about? You can't just leave. We're engaged. No, we're not. Sam, please, you're being crazy. I can explain everything. It wasn't what it sounded like. The explanations were priceless. First it was, I was drunk and saying things I didn't mean. Then it became, my friends were pressuring me to sound cool. Finally, she settled on, I was just venting about wedding stress. Everyone does that. Like calling your fiancé pathetic and planning to dump him with some kind of normal pre-wedding jitters. I kept packing. Every item I put in a box felt like taking back a piece of myself. Riley was spiraling, getting more desperate by the minute. You can't take everything. Some of this stuff is mine. Show me a receipt. She couldn't because everything in that apartment, from the 65-inch TV to the coffee maker to the toilet paper, had been bought with my money. 3 years of me paying for everything, and she couldn't claim legal ownership of a lamp. Even her precious ring light for Instagram was on my Amazon account. When she realized I wasn't backing down, she switched tactics, pulled out her phone and called her parents. Mom? Yeah, he's here. He's taking everything. I don't know what happened. She was crying now, playing the victim card like. He lost his mind. I grabbed the phone from her hand and hung up. Don't involve your parents in this. They don't deserve to get dragged into your mess. That's when she really lost it. Started screaming about how I was ruining her life, how she'd given me the best years of her youth, how I was being vindictive and cruel. Adam and I just kept packing while she had her tantrum. Took 3 truckloads to get everything. Every stick of furniture, every appliance, every piece of electronics. Left her with an empty apartment and the reality of what life looked like when your human credit card decides to close the account. We were loading the last of my stuff when Riley's dad called my phone. I'd switched it back on to coordinate with the utility companies. Sam, what the hell do you think you're doing? Riley called us in tears saying you've stolen everything from the apartment and destroyed her business. This is completely unacceptable. Hi, Robert. I found out last night that Riley's been using me as a placeholder boyfriend while she waited for someone better to come along. So I'm leaving. That's ridiculous. Riley would never. You're clearly misunderstanding something. She loves you. She's been planning your future together. No, sir, she doesn't. I heard her tell her friends that I'm pathetic, that she's planning to dump me as soon as her side piece's trust fund kicks in, and that she's basically been treating me like a human ATM for 3 years. His tone turned defensive. I don't know what you think you heard, but our daughter isn't like that. You're obviously twisting her words because you're upset about something else. Riley's a good girl. Good girl. This was exactly the enabling bullshit that created someone like Riley in the first place. Robert, your daughter called me pathetic and said marrying me would be embarrassing. Pretty hard to misinterpret that. Look, even if she said something she didn't mean, that doesn't give you the right to destroy her life and steal furniture. You're acting like a vindictive child. Maybe you just couldn't handle dating someone out of your league. I actually laughed. Out of my league? I paid for everything in that apartment. I built her website. I funded her business. I'm not stealing anything. I'm taking back what I paid for. You can't just take everything and leave her with nothing. That's cruel and petty. Whatever problems you two have, this isn't how adults handle things. You need to bring everything back and work this out like a man. Riley made a mistake, but you're destroying her life over hurt feelings. No, Robert. I'm done enabling your daughter's behavior. Good luck with that. I hung up and finished loading the truck. Even her parents thought I should just take the abuse and pay the bills. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. The house. My house. The one I'd bought as a surprise. The one I'd been so excited to show her after the wedding. Instead, I pulled into my driveway with my best friend, carrying boxes of the life I'd just rescued from someone who'd never deserved it. That night, while Adam and I were setting up my stuff in my actual home, Riley started her social media campaign. Nothing direct, just subtle posts about surviving betrayal and when people show you who they really are, and grateful for real friends during difficult times. Paint herself as the wronged party, make everyone wonder what terrible thing I'd done to the poor, innocent girl. That's when I decided to really end it. I logged into the hosting panel for her website, the professional site I'd built for her marketing agency, the one with the custom design, SEO optimization, contact forms, the whole 9 yards, the one she'd been using to try to land clients and build her personal brand. Before I deleted anything, I downloaded everything. Every file, every image, every line of code I'd written. Not because I wanted to keep it, but because I wanted her to know exactly what she was losing. 40 hours of professional web development, gone because she couldn't keep her mouth shut. Deleted everything. Nuked it from orbit. Years of content strategy and brand building evaporated like it never existed. Then I redirected her domain to a simple page that said, "This website is no longer available. Please update your bookmarks." Professional. Clean. Devastating. Next, I canceled her email hosting. Every professional email address she'd been using for networking? Dead. Every contact she'd made through that website? No way to reach her. The cherry on top was changing the recovery email for her domain registration to an address that didn't exist. So even if she figured out what happened, she couldn't get it back without jumping through legal hoops that would take months. 3 years of letting her treat me like a walking credit card, and I just removed every digital asset I'd built for her. It was like watching someone realize they'd been living in a house made of cards. I turned my phone off, cracked open a drink on my back porch, and fell asleep in my own bed for the first time in years. Pure, uninterrupted peace. The next morning, I woke up in my own house, in my own bed, with sunlight streaming through windows that I'd picked out myself. No compromise, no negotiation, no having to consider what someone else wanted. Just me, my space, and the most profound sense of relief I'd ever experienced. Adam was already up, making coffee in my kitchen like he owned the place. Sleep good? Like the dead. Good, because you need to see this. He handed me my phone. Turn it on. Trust me. I'd switched it back onto pure chaos. The website takedown had sent Riley into full meltdown mode. 63 missed calls, over 100 text messages, and a progression that was better than any comedy show. 2 a.m. What did you do to my website? 2:15 a.m. You psychopath, put it back right now. 3 a.m. I'm calling the police, this is sabotage. 4 a.m. You destroyed my business, you sick shit, I hope you rot in hell. 6 a.m. Sam, please. I'm begging you, just put it back, we can work this out. Her friends had started messaging me from fake Instagram accounts, trying to play hardball. We know what you did to Riley's business. Fix it, or we're telling everyone what kind of person you really are. I actually laughed. These idiots thought they could blackmail me with what? The truth? That I'd stopped funding someone who called me pathetic? Real scary stuff there, ladies. I deleted everything without responding. Blocked the fake accounts. Put my phone on, do not disturb. They're really losing their shit, Adam said, scrolling through his own messages. Apparently I'm an enabler for helping you move. Riley's telling everyone I'm just as psycho as you are. Want me to call them and explain that you're actually worse? Nah, I like the reputation. We spent the day setting up my home office properly. Working remotely had never felt so good. No commute, no office politics, just me and my computer in a space that was entirely mine. Between calls, Adam and I got my gaming setup running. First time I'd touched my PlayStation in months because Riley thought video games were juvenile. The gaming setup was therapeutic as hell. 75-inch TV, surround sound, the works. Riley used to complain about the noise and how it was antisocial. Turned out gaming with your best friend while drinking and talking shit was actually peak social activity. Who knew? That evening, we were deep into a Call of Duty session when Adam paused the game. Any regrets about nuking her entire digital existence? I looked around at my living room, my house, my space that Riley would never get to ruin with her vision of what our life should look like. Just one. I should have done it sooner. The harassment didn't stop. If anything, it got worse. Riley and her flying monkeys were apparently convinced that if they just applied enough pressure, I'd crack and give her back her precious website. Text messages from unknown numbers, Instagram DMs from accounts with no profile pictures, even LinkedIn messages trying to make this about professional courtesy. The best one was Madison pretending to be concerned about my mental health. Sam, we're all worried about you. This isn't like you. Maybe you should talk to someone professional? Yeah, maybe Riley should have thought about my mental health before calling me pathetic at our own engagement party. Just a thought. I kept working from home, kept ignoring the digital tantrum, kept playing games with Adam in the evenings. Life was actually pretty great when you weren't constantly walking on eggshells around someone who saw you as a human credit card. Then, 2 weeks after the great website deletion, things escalated. I was on a work call, explaining quarterly projections to my boss, when I heard a car door slam in my driveway. Loud, aggressive, the kind of slam that says someone's about to do something stupid. I glanced out my office window, and there she was, Riley, standing in my driveway like some kind of unhinged stalker, staring at my house with an expression that was equal parts rage and disbelief. She'd found me, somehow tracked down my address, and decided to bring the crazy directly to my front door. I stayed on my call, watching through the window as she walked around my property like she was conducting a real estate inspection. Her face was priceless. The slow realization that I'd been planning this exit strategy for months while she was busy planning her upgrade. The way she was examining my house was pure entitlement, walking around the perimeter, checking out the garage, peering through windows like she had some kind of right to inspect my property. When my call ended, she was standing at my front door. I could hear her through the walls. Sam, I know you're in there. Open this door right now. I didn't. Just sat at my desk, working on emails, letting her tire herself out. That's when the real show started. You bought a house? You bought a house without telling me? You can't just disappear like this. We had plans. I gave you 3 years of my life. The yelling turned to threats. I'll tell everyone what you really are. I'll ruin your reputation. You think you can just destroy my business and hide in your little house? I'll make sure everyone knows what a psycho you are. Thank God for modern technology. My Ring doorbell was capturing every second of this meltdown in beautiful 1080p HD. Riley, the girl who was always so careful about her image, was having a full-on breakdown on my front porch for the cameras to see. She spent 20 minutes screaming at my door before finally giving up and driving away. I immediately downloaded the footage and saved it to 3 different cloud services. That week, I filed for a restraining order, walked into the courthouse with my laptop, showed the magistrate the footage of Riley's deranged performance, and explained the pattern of harassment. The whole process took less than an hour. Has she made any physical threats? The clerk asked. She threatened to ruin my reputation and implied she'd keep showing up at my home. That's enough for a temporary order. She'll be served within 48 hours. 2 days later, Adam texted me a screenshot of Riley's Instagram story. A photo of legal documents with the caption, "When toxic people try to silence you with the legal system." Even when she was being served with a restraining order, she couldn't accept responsibility. I was still the villain in her story. But you know what? The legal paperwork worked. The harassment stopped. No more fake account messages. No more surprise visits. No more friends trying to guilt trip me into fixing things. For the first time in months, my phone stayed quiet. I could work from home without checking the cameras every 5 minutes. I could sleep without wondering if some unhinged woman was going to show up in my yard at 2 a.m. Peace. Finally, some actual peace. 3 months after the restraining order, I was absolutely thriving. Like, embarrassingly good life thriving. First, I got promoted at work. Turns out when you're not constantly stressed about your home life falling apart, you perform better. Who knew? My boss pulled me aside and offered me the senior analyst position I'd been eyeing for 2 years. 20% raise, better benefits, and the respect I'd been working toward. Second, I got a dog. Siberian Husky named Captain Fluffernutter, because I have the humor of a 12-year-old and zero shame about it. This dog is hilarious. Last week, he somehow got into my home office during a Zoom meeting and proceeded to howl at my boss through the screen, like he was announcing his presence to the pack. My boss thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever seen, and now asks about the captain in every meeting. Third, I'd been hitting the gym consistently for the first time since college. Amazing what happens when you're not walking on eggshells around someone who thinks your hobbies are juvenile. Down 15 pounds, up significantly in confidence. But the best part? I'd started seeing someone new. Her name's Maria. I met her at a coffee shop near my house. She was reading a book and drinking black coffee, wearing workout clothes that weren't for show. Hot as hell, had her own career, drove her own car, paid for her own shit. We'd been dating for 6 weeks, taking it slow, actually getting to know each other instead of playing house immediately. She respected my boundaries about not wanting to rush into anything serious. She had her own friends, her own interests, her own life that didn't revolve around using me as a human ATM. The difference was night and day. Maria would insist on splitting dinner checks, brought her own snacks to movie nights, never once asked me to fix her problems for her. When her laptop started acting up, she took it to a repair shop instead of expecting me to drop everything and play tech support. Basic adult behavior that felt revolutionary after 3 years with Riley. Meanwhile, according to Adam's intelligence network, aka gossip from mutual friends, Riley's life had completely imploded. Theo ghosted her the second she became single. Turns out crypto trust fund boy wasn't interested in damaged goods with baggage. Shocking development that no one could have predicted. She'd moved back in with her parents after being unable to afford the apartment rent solo. Her marketing agency collapsed completely without the website, and she'd lost her retail job for too many absences during her stalking phase. Last anyone heard, she was trying to sell jewelry and makeup on Instagram like some kind of MLM hun. The same girl who used to talk about building an empire was hawking lipstick to her high school friends for commission. Adam had been seeing someone new too, Jessica, a bartender with a wicked sense of humor and zero tolerance for bullshit. We decided to make it a double date at this steakhouse downtown that had been on my list forever. Good food, good company, celebrating how far we'd all come. We were having an amazing dinner. Adam telling some ridiculous story about a customer who tried to pay his bar tab with cryptocurrency when I saw her. Riley, walking through the restaurant like she owned the place, scanning tables, clearly looking for someone. When her eyes found mine, her face went through about 17 emotions in 3 seconds. "Oh, this is about to get fun," Adam said, following my gaze. Maria noticed my expression. "Everything okay?" My ex just walked in. "This might get interesting." Jessica grinned. "I love drama that doesn't involve me. This is better than cable." Riley made a beeline for our table. I could see the hostess trying to intercept her, but Riley was on a mission. She looked like hell. Thinner, desperate energy, wearing the kind of outfit that screams, trying too hard to look successful. "Sam." She stopped right next to our table, completely ignoring everyone else. "We need to talk." "No, we don't. Please leave." "Who is this?" She gestured at Maria like she was pointing at a piece of furniture. Maria, bless her heart, didn't take the bait. Just sat back and watched the show with the calm confidence of someone who knows she's not the problem here. "Sam, you can't just pretend we never happened. 3 years of our lives were based on a lie. You said so yourself. I was drunk. I didn't mean any of that." That's when Adam decided to join the party. He calmly pulled out his phone, opened his camera, and started recording. "What are you doing?" Riley snapped. "Documenting harassment." You know, for when you inevitably try to flip this story on social media. Adam smiled at the camera. Hi everyone, this is Riley. She's currently violating a restraining order to harass my friend at dinner. Say hi, Riley. Riley's face went bright red. Turn that off right now. Nah, I'm good. This is gold. Please, continue explaining how the man you called pathetic should take you back. The restaurant was starting to notice. Other diners turning to watch, staff moving closer. Riley's voice was getting louder, more desperate. You destroyed my business, my life, over some stupid misunderstanding. Adam kept filming. Wait, rewind. Stop recording me! Ma'am, this is a public place. I can record whatever I want. That's when Riley completely lost her shit. Started screaming at Adam. You don't know anything. You're just some loser bartender who enables him. Adam burst out laughing. Loser bartender? Lady, at least I have a real job instead of begging people to buy overpriced makeup. Jessica was trying not to laugh. Maria looked fascinated. I was just impressed with Adam's commitment to being petty. Riley looked around at all the people staring, phones coming out to record her meltdown, finally realizing she was making a complete ass of herself in public. Screw you! She screamed, and actually lunged at Adam like she was going to grab his phone. Security appeared out of nowhere, two big guys who clearly knew how to handle difficult customers. They intercepted Riley mid-lunge, grabbing her arms before she could reach Adam. Ma'am, you need to leave immediately, one of them said. This is harassment. He's filming me without permission. They're stalking me online. Adam looked at his phone screen. Actually, you approached our table. We were just eating dinner. But thanks for the content. This is definitely going on TikTok. Delete that right now. Riley was struggling against the security guards, looking absolutely unhinged. Can't delete it. Already uploaded to the cloud. As they escorted her toward the exit, Riley was still screaming threats. I'll sue you. All of you. This is defamation. The entire restaurant watched her get dragged out, probably wondering what the hell they'd just witnessed. The manager appeared at our table immediately. I am so sorry about that disruption. Your entire dinner is on the house, and I've banned her from the premises. Adam finally stopped recording. Best dinner entertainment I've ever had. 5 stars, would recommend. Jessica was grinning. That was incredible. Maria just shook her head. She seems intense. Are you okay? I was laughing. A year ago, a scene like that would have ruined my entire week. Now, it was just Tuesday. I'm perfect, I said. Thank you all for that. Especially you, I pointed at Adam. That was beautiful. We finished our meal, went back to my place, introduced the girls to Captain Fluffernutter, who immediately tried to steal Jessica's purse, and had game night like normal people. Normal couple stuff with people who actually wanted to be there. As I was falling asleep that night, Maria curled up next to me in my own bed, in my own house, with my dog snoring on his bed in the corner, and the sound of Adam and Jessica laughing in the guest room. I realized something. I'd never been happier in my entire life. The girl who called me pathetic was selling makeup on Instagram while living with her parents and getting escorted out of restaurants. The placeholder boyfriend had built himself an empire, found someone who saw him as the main character, and had friends who would literally record her public meltdown for posterity. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's just living so well that your absence becomes their punishment.